Welcome to... Oh, you cunt.
Ta-da!
Welcome to another episode of Dem Drunk Blokes. This week we've got another very special episode. Well, not another, because you never read the first one. But we've got a very special episode telling you about some things we're going to do. In the studio today we've got a very special guest that I'll introduce later. But it's the return of the fantastic Mr. C.
Hello! How's everybody doing?
So yeah, Mr. C's been out for a little while, but he's going to be back on board. He's never left the DDB posse. And hopefully he'll come with us to one of the events we're going to attend this year. Quick shout
Hopefully indeed.
Hopefully indeed. In the DDB Mobile.
Yes.
Yes. So, we first want to say, obviously, we're definitely going to be attending Ambush up in Kerryfield, run by Mighty Lance Games. Go check them out on Twitter for all the information. Obviously, we're going to have an interview with the owner of Mighty Lance Games coming up probably in the next couple of weeks. You'll find out all the information then. Something we've signed up for this week will be the Grey's Geeky Con, and you can look them up on Facebook, find out all about them. We're going to go gate crash them, have some interviews with some sellers, and whoever we can get hold of there. And we're probably going to be going to the Lakes Comics Art Festival as well, up in Kendal. That's it, Kendal, where the mint cake comes from. So yeah, we'll be up there in late October as well. So without further ado, let me play you a little something that we cooked up for our new member that you may have spotted on Twitter already. But listen and enjoy.
Oh, hello, and welcome to the D3G Comics Guild. We have scrolls, banned books, and magical items here. Feel free to look around. Something might take your fancy. Something magical, maybe. Or maybe a bit of banned Deadpool. But not the Liefeld, oh no.
Okay, so let's bring to the table the owner and proprietor of D3G Comics, the new, as you may have seen on Twitter, DDBComicsguy.
Hello.
Here he is.
Woo!
And the phone buzzed. Yay.
Innocent. It wasn't me. I haven't done it. I broke the rules as soon as I started, if there was any rules.
So, welcome for your first time in the DDB studio.
Yes, it's new, but also familiar.
Yeah. So, if you've not been following us on Twitter or knew anything about it, we recorded a massively good, I think I even mentioned it in one of the older episodes that Luke did. A really, really good show. Lots of information. Really, really great. And then for some reason, I saved it and it wiped it. So, yeah, we're trying again today. So, Dan, tell us a little bit about D3G Comics and yourself.
Well, D3G kind of started last year. It's me and a friend decided we'd have a crack at doing Comic-Cons because we could never find the comics we wanted. So we thought we'd bring some that we thought everyone would want, and surprisingly, they do. So we've kind of rolled out from there, become quite popular on eBay. Got two different mantles. If you look at the D3G Twitter, you see both of us. But yeah, I know the guys here now on the comics guy at DDB.
Yeah, so he sources all of our comics. I know, fantastic to see you're not that into comics, are you?
Well, yeah, just never really was when I was younger, but I've grown to appreciate their value these days.
Yeah.
Considering all of the wonderful films and TV series that we now get thanks to them.
Exactly, and that sort of makes you dig a little bit more.
Exactly.
And so any comics that we buy here in this studio, we all get them through Dan, who's quite a specialist at basically finding ones you're missing from whatever series you've been collecting, right?
Yeah, well, kind of took the tag franchise specialist because it's, everything's a franchise and people don't realise the comics have happened normally to after they've seen it.
Yeah. So
we're kind of like in advance, you'll suddenly get someone go, I really wish I could read a bit of Punisher, like some of the older stuff, but I'm missing like 2 issues, like what, these?
Yeah, and then just ta-da, and then they're appeared, all by magic, all by mystical, magical beings. You may even hear Dan as an NPC in our future D&D games. Maybe, as running the D3G Comics Guild that you might have heard in an advert or two played for him. They're going to be selling mystical painted scrolls.
And maybe some magical items.
and maybe some just hilarious insert comics. So what we're going to talk about today then, Dan, I think, is a look back on last year and some of the things that people may have missed in the comic world. In the comics world, I mean, I'm very, very focused on Deadpool. Don't do much more than that, but I do know quite a bit. Just because, as Fantastic Mr. C said as well, just getting digging a bit further into what you see on TV and films and stuff like that.
Yeah, you want to sort of find the backstory and all the different sort of interactions that there are between characters that you don't see.
Yeah,
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people want to find out the how and the why, and that's good.
Yeah, and that obviously brings in business for you. So, what might have people missed last year?
Well, I'm going to start with Deadpool, because there's lots of Deadpool books, and like a very popular thing is the Versus or the V Deadpools. But I think one that kind of it got forgotten because you had Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe again,
Yep.
and then Deadpool Old Man Logan, and Deadpool Punisher. People knew about it, but it never quite got picked up. So I looked at it, being quite a Punisher and Deadpool fan. Not my main ones, but ones I quite enjoy. I picked up and read it, and I was thoroughly impressed. I think it's probably maybe slightly better than Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe again.
Well, I mean, I've got Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe again. I haven't got Deadpool versus Punisher yet, which you're going to require for me at some point. I loved the whole, it's Cullen Bunn, isn't it?
Yeah.
The whole Cullen Bunn, Deadpool, the original Killology, and obviously Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe again, and Night of the Living Deadpool and Day of the Living Deadpool.
Oh, you got Deadpool versus Carnage as well.
I missed that one too, you see. This is why I need you here with me.
Yeah.
But what I do like about them is how they get all the characters in, and you start finding out about characters you never knew about. Deadpool sort of runs into them random little offshoot characters that no one knows about, and they become quite a star, and then you go off and find a little bit more about them.
Bit I like about it, they're a good introduction comic as well, because sometimes like they're 30 issues in and you're trying to pick it up. With a 5-parter, they tell you everything you need to know in the first 2 pages, and then you can jump straight in.
Exactly, yeah, I like that. I did the digital, I don't think it's digital only anymore, but it was Deadpool 2 soon. Started off as digital only, and then they printed it because it was very popular.
Yeah, that's like, when they're not sure now, like a lot of them seem to do, they do a digital print,
Yeah.
and if it gets enough like people interested, then you have people like me who's like, I need this in paper form.
Yeah, I had to go, and I actually read it on my phone, but it was a great story, so if you can get me that as well. It's just Deadpool 2 soon, it's 4 Bushman in it.
Let me get out my scroll and add it to the list.
Yeah, definitely need to look that up. So, tell us a little bit more about the story that happens in Deadpool. Why is Deadpool and Punisher going at it?
Well, you can imagine with Deadpool, especially with his success, he needs to keep an eye on all his money, and it opens in a way you don't think. So he's seeing his accountant, who's a, I know he's feeling it. It's like the best setup, and he's having this little ramble. But you can imagine anyone that Deadpool would find maybe might not be 100% straight.
Yeah.
In both senses of the word with Deadpool. And yeah, Punisher's after him, after the accountant, and it just goes from there. But it's a brilliant read, because to me it's like Deadpool is very Deadpool-ish, not too zany, not, I know he's a merc with a mouth, but sometimes they really take advantage of that.
They go out of the way to make him proper insane.
And after finally finishing the Punisher Netflix series, like this Punisher, he's like a perfect mix of all the bits from like Punisher Max, the original Punisher TV series. They kind of, anyone who's ever liked Punisher could pick this up and recognise their Punisher in it.
Oh, okay. So, what did you think of the Punisher Netflix show, anyway?
I just finished it. I absolutely loved it.
And
I was a big fan of it as well. Very much looking forward to it after his appearance in Daredevil.
yeah, the Daredevil season 2 Netflix show obviously led into the Punisher quite well.
And I'll give away something about me. I'm a huge Daredevil fan, so...
We know, one of your prized possessions now. First Daredevil appearance.
Yep. Yeah, I've slowly worked up to the first 15 now, so...
Nice.
Yeah, so yeah, this is the kind of level of information that we've got now under the DDB banner. And you're going to hear a lot more on comic specials and maybe other places as well, but we'll talk about that a bit later.
Yep.
I don't know what later is, but you know.
It's like later, but slightly more sexy.
But with a bit of D.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with a bit of D.
Okay, so that was the Deadpool versus Punisher. Obviously, go out, check out the Netflix film. If you like what you see there and you don't know anything about Punisher, then you can also step into the Punisher versus Deadpool, if you know a bit about Deadpool and don't know about Punisher. Otherwise, where else is a good place to start in the comics world for a Punisher storyline?
A lot of people love like the Punisher Max print. Like, it was very, very popular. Me personally, I'll try to say his name right because it's a bugger to say. Greg Rubacher, who he's known for his Batman more. He done a Punisher series about 5 years ago, maybe 6. I think it's 5. And yeah, it's like instead of just making him like, I think what a big problem with Punisher Max near the end is they made him too militant. They lost any inch of humanity, and for him to work properly, you need
some kind of relatable part.
You even need you need him to crack a joke like every once in a blue moon. And with him and Edmondson followed his run afterwards, it kind of like the Punisher. You wouldn't mess with him, like still, but there's kind of more you could believe he is a person rather than he was slightly turning into like the Terminator.
Well, there was the whole I think it mentioned
Frankencastle.
Yeah, Frankencastle. What a fucking debauchery thing that was. Although I like the build up to it, the Dark Wolverine.
Yeah.
Amazing build up to it, and then really, and some of the drawings they had for Frankencastle as well. I mean, fuck me, Hammer Horror much like.
So I think with like Punisher as well, is a lot of superheroes you can kind of push the boundary a bit. Like, well, they are superheroes, but Frank's like a normal person.
Yeah.
He's well skilled, so I don't think merging him and Frankenstein and weird sex robot looking thing was Marvel's greatest idea of recent years.
But it's out there. If you're interested in that, go and find it. Or contact D3G on Twitter, at D3G. Look them up on eBay. And obviously you can contact DDBComicsguy at DDBComicsguy on Twitter. So what's up next?
Well, I'm going to cheat a bit with this because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is kind of a love of mine. And if you're going underrated books, you can do it from when it come out with IDW from 2011 till now. Because every year the story gets better, and a lot of people who review comics have said like, you wouldn't think with Ninja Turtles like it can get as dark as it has. Like a lot of people don't know and haven't read a lot of the Mirage Ninja Turtles, which is how it all begun. And me and Joker and Pumbaa have said before, a lot of people don't know it was only supposed to be one issue.
Yeah, I mean, I got hooked on that documentary that was on Netflix. Which is all about the starts of the Ninja Turtles and how it actually started two blokes in a shared flat.
Yeah, that's Mirage Studios because it was a mirage. It was just a flat.
So so tell us a little bit more about the history of that.
Well, it started off. It was supposed to be a one and done deal comic. They just wanted to make each other laugh. One of them drew a turtle holding a sword and went back and forth. And by the end of the night, they had come up with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And anyone who knows the Daredevil like me, it's kind of like a loving ode to Daredevil, but with 4 turtles and a ginormous rat.
Yeah.
And what's bad about that?
Absolutely nothing when you pick it up.
And now for an advert.
What you got there, mate? You reading? Oh, no, it's a bloody picture book. No, it is a book of horticulture. It is called Gardening with Deadpool. Don't look like he's doing much gardening there, mate. Looks like he's enjoying himself, though. Well, he is mostly doing a lot of weeding in this volume. Ah, see, mate. That's a clever euphemism for his brutal and joyous evisceration of general assorted scum. Nice. Where? So, where'd you get it, mate? It was exclusively sourced for me by the D3G Comics Guild. Also found at D3G_comics on Facebook. Nah, sorry mate, you lost me there. Don't do weird cults. Suit yourself. Are you just getting into comics? Need some help getting started? Or have you been collecting for years? They can sort you out with all your comic needs. As a franchise specialist, they have a diverse knowledge of all titles and happily accept any questions about the world of comics. So find them at Facebook, D3G_comics. Dan's eBay? What the huh? And lots of other things. Well, find those things.
So, started by Mirage Studios, as you said. Going into their later stuff, the stuff that people might have missed last year.
Well, yeah, like the past 5-6 years, IDW have took it over because Ninja Turtles got sold to Paramount, but it's just been one great read, especially last year as well. It's like, great thing with Turtles is there's no real set lore, even though people said it, so you can kind of, and as they have in the past 30 years, they've kind of nitpicked bits from the 87 cartoon, the 90s films, the TV series.
That before I found out quite recently about all the comics, well, I say recently, last 5-6 years, I mean, the only access I had to it was the cartoons.
Yeah.
Them cartoons, I mean, I was a massive fan as a kid. I think everyone was, no?
Yeah, I absolutely loved that. But there was the Turtles arcade game as well.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
Jesus.
And the there was
something in time.
Turtles in Time.
Turtles in Time, and then there was another one as well.
I had it on.
Oh, there's so many. There's so many games when you look.
Spectrum ZX Plus 2. I had that game on.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
I know most people forgot about it. I've just cherished it for 30 years. 32 I am now.
Oh
32
man,
years.
so much money. So much money spent on that arcade machine.
Oh, that was a thing of many holidays. Like, you could just say all like the boys just crammed around
Well,
it.
it was one of the ones that had 4 players as well.
Yes.
So
Like the Simpsons one as well was
Anyway, we're getting off of the comic book special.
But yeah, it's the Turtles one was amazing.
But like, yeah, with the comic, like, especially someone like me, like in the 87 TV series, there was like one thing flashed up on the screen of this character called Ace Duck, and like it was a running joke, like how pointless he was. Yeah, in the comics last year they brought him back, and he's completely kick-ass. It's really weird because like a lot of people don't know, like Turtles. It's quite normal for them to go into space, go back in time.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I've seen some of that shit.
Well, and there was like
the enemy, Krang was from outer space. You know, the Cyber Dome.
He's like, he's from Dimension X. He's Utrom, which is like in the originals, they're like what Krang was based on, but they're actually good. They're like a good race of things.
So he was like an outcast.
Yeah. But in the new one, in the IDW ones, he's like a militant leader, and like he's proper badass. It's just like, but the thing that surprised me the most, especially with it, is what they've done with Splinter. Like they're in issue 50. I'm like not easily like I'll just read a comic wherever I am. I nearly dropped my comic on the train. There was such a shocking moment in it where I was like, what?
So what, does he get violated or
does he violate? Because I mean he's like got like Japanese ancestry, right? So it's like that's a possibility.
He must show dominance.
I think everyone's used to him being like
wise old man.
Yeah, and he just comes toe to toe with Shredder at one point, and you're like, no, he's not, and you're like, oh my god, he's actually done something that I'm not going to say because it's a massive spoiler, and you're like, well, he's only done it for that one reason, and yeah, he ends up taking over the foot. It's like, that's not the spoiler, trust me. This is how shocking this moment is. And
does he fight dirty or something?
No, it's.
Well, he should do ninja though.
It's like very, very honourable, but it's took the Turtles in a way I've never seen, especially over the last year. I've been like pacing up and down every month waiting for the issue to come out.
Fucking hell. So
that's a good sign.
Where should people start to get hold of this storyline? What would you suggest?
I would say, like, they do collected versions.
Right.
If it was me, I'd say get the paperback first, feel your way in. Like, that gives you an idea of what they're doing, and if you're like me, you get it, you want to read more, then go for the collected editions.
So like the big...
Yeah, that way you can have a proper good read, chill if you get the chance.
Yeah.
It's just... I think a lot of people think, like, they saw the films a couple of years ago and they're like, oh, the Ninja Turtles are rubbish. I'm like, no, just...
Yeah,
that was just a bad representation.
Or just one of many representations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they are one of them things, as you said, there's no, like, real canon to it. So when you take over a story, you can
You need a certain set of characters, but that's kind of it.
I've met Kevin Eastman, I was quite lucky. And in my very brief chat of being starstruck with him, one of the things he's always said with the Turtles is like to him, and he's one of the creators, he's like, to him there's like an infinite versions of Turtles, so you can't really like there can't really be a version that you don't like.
Yeah, or you can't not find a version
Yeah.
that you like. Yeah.
But then also he cuts a lot of people taking over a lot of slack because he's like, of course there can be a terrible film version of them where they're in a lab, but there can also be like this kick-ass IDW one which involves ancient Japan and family and loyalty and then space travel.
Yeah. You know, just there it should be.
Yeah, pick a fantasy role, any fantasy role, and just
Yeah, maybe we
it's
should
going to
do-
be there.
Well, they've just brought in the race, like, officially into Dungeons and Dragons, the Tortor, which are humanoid turtles. So I'm thinking maybe we'll get you over, we'll do a little recorded DDB D&D mini,
Yeah.
and just rip off the turtles.
You mean I can finally be my dream of knockoff brand Leonardo?
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds
I'm
good.
Raphael.
But I'm God. But, I mean, if I wasn't, I'd be Donatello. Fucking love
It's all about the size.
What one we left with?
Size
then? We got
matters.
Leo, Raph.
the Mikey.
Yeah, that can be Logan. That's quite apt.
Yeah, and then Donatello.
Yeah, so I can't be him because I'll be obviously running the storyline.
Yeah,
But obviously I'm going to need
Jackie
to...
could be April.
I'll need to get a couple of comics from you.
Yeah.
Maybe some of them the ones set back in time.
Yeah.
So I can mix it into a D&D setting, and that'll be something that you can all listen to once we record it. So yeah, there's the Turtles. Exciting news, exciting times. What's up next on your list of things we might
Well,
list?
the one I'm going to talk about next, I'll admit I might have hooked our host on already.
You did. Yes, you did.
It's called Seven to Eternity, and I didn't really know. To be honest, I didn't know a lot about this till the middle of last year. I was doing one of my cons, like comic conventions, with the other half of D3G, and we must have had 4 or 5 people come up and go, "Have you got Seven to Eternity?" I'm like, "No." "You got Seven to Eternity?" "No." And so I kind of finished up the con, packing away, and I was like, I've got to read up what this is. So I read up, and my wife, she's quite a fantasy fan, so I was like, if I order it, will you give it a read for me and tell me if it's worth it?
Yeah.
Like, worth me picking up some issues, or were these just a bunch of people who are obsessed?
Yeah.
There's like a Seven to Eternity cult round where I live or something. And I got the first 4 issues, and about a day later she asked me to pick up the rest.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is a good sign. Because like fantasy, I'm in the fantasy, but it's not my strongest point.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got the other issue, she read them, and I read them. And I was like, how is this book not getting mentioned more? And you probably be able to say as well as me.
So, in our original recording of this, I hadn't read it. And I was very interested just by the front cover of issue number 1. I mean, it's got everything you want from anyone that's followed Pathfinder, D&D, anything. You've got like someone using psycho powers. You've got alien-esque monsters, fantasy monsters, a big overlord. You've even got like, guns thrown in from the gunslingers of Pathfinder and stuff like that.
Someone's got like electric swords.
Yeah, so the psycho power.
There's
When
a
I
lot.
actually read the first issue, honest to God, I read the first issue and went, all right, it's not exactly what I thought it was. And then as you get through that part, like the first 3 issues are like a background /
That's your
introduction.
setup.
Yeah. And my God, once that 3rd issue ends, it's like, shit, I need more. I need more so badly, so quickly, because it's just...
And the Mud King, I just love him in it. He's quality.
Well, it's that whole point of like, I don't know, that build up, and then it's like I'm starting to peel things that it can be like based on. You know, like the Killology with Deadpool, when he goes back and
Yeah.
kills what comics are based on. This one's got like bits of Magnificent Seven, bits of D&D in it, bits of fucking Lord of the Rings in it, bits of this one, and it's like, but it's not like ripping it off. You know, like you read some books and it's like, this is just a blatant rip off. This is like its own individual thing with all the best parts of them storylines that you know and love.
Okay, cool.
And like some of the powers, and it's not really like the introduction's not done in the comics, it's done in the intros and the outros, the actual written bits.
Okay.
And it's like, fucking hell, like I really got into it, and from now on Dan's going to pick us up first prints of them all.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep them, treasure them, and then maybe one day...
When Amazon make a series of it eventually.
Oh, it would make a brilliant TV series,
I've
especially
seen
now
this.
you've got the technology to do it. Because I mean, if it came out 20 years ago, it deserves it, but there'd be no way you could have done it.
Yeah.
Like, you can
But now,
there's a
now-
lot of series that have come out that haven't really been that successful, and they've not had a lot of money spent on them. Things like Legion,
yeah.
where they.
Oh, what a good show.
I thought it was amazing.
I
Can't-
still haven't watched it.
You know, I was hoping there'd be a series 2, but it's
What, of Legion?
yeah.
No, there's one on the way.
Yeah, are you sure?
I'm pretty damn positive.
Good. I'm very happy about that.
I think
But
I
yeah,
saw
that was very
a set
cheaply done,
photo.
but it was well done.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
but this would
And-
need a lot of money thrown behind it.
But that's the thing, like
Due to
things
the
like
world
that.
and stuff.
This
I
is
mean,
like
It
Amazon
can be
made.
made cheaply. You don't have to spend loads of money while still representing good effects.
yeah, so it'll be like something done by like a school. You know, like when they go
Yeah.
to schools, and this will be your project if you do this. Da 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 da. da. But I mean, it deserves it. Just how the comedy's quick, fun. The whole setup at the beginning. It's like, so let's put it in D&D terms. It's like these guys show up. There's one guy it's all focused on. Then all these guys show up, like the team, the adventuring party show up. They've all got their different classes and their different abilities.
Yeah.
And one of them's the healer. And as soon as he shows up, he dies. And it's like they even say, "Shit, we've got to go on without the healer." It's like, oh
Is that
fuck.
It's like the start of any great adventure. Right? You go all planned, and then like the key card goes, you're like,
Yeah. They're like, fuck it, we've got to do it anyway. And then you've got a bunch of fighters and offensive magic users going into a long ass adventure without their healer. And it's like,
I think
and
what's
as
the-
a D&D player, you relate so well. It's like, fuck.
And I think, like, from the comic thing as well, a lot of people were surprised because the guy who wrote it is Rick. I'm going to try to say this. Every, like, comic writer has the impossible surname. It's like Rick
Bun.
Remender. And he's mainly known for doing, like, I've seen him write cat books, but Image have this thing of, especially at the minute, if you're a writer and you've got a good idea, they'll let you run with it. And, like, I was surprised. Like, he's a good writer, but he's kind of just absolutely smashed this out of the park.
Yeah, I really will say it is definitely worth a buy.
I mean, like, technically the first issue came out in 2016, but the bulk of it's been 2017, and that's when it's took off.
Yeah.
And a good thing about it as well, it isn't like they don't do the monthly issue. They release it in, like, blocks. So when he's happy with the next part of the story comes out, he doesn't feel like he's rushed and there's
Yeah.
no, like, bridging issues.
So that,
He's doing his best work.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the Image do that. Like, they did Cryptozoic Man that was done by Walt Flanagan and Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
They buy that stuff. They buy a lot of... and there's a thing I pointed out to you on Twitter the other day that I want to have a little look into.
yes.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that in what's coming up in the next year at the end of the show. Let's get back to our final parts of what people might have missed last year.
This is all kind of like linked into each other, the next part. So we'll start with like Detective Comics. Like everyone's heard of it, and with DC Rebirth and leading up to Doomsday Clock, which we'll talk about in a tiny little bit. It like Detective Comics is kind of like it's Batman, but it's took a completely different approach. Instead of him being, "I'm in the shadows, I only work alone," apart from when I have Robin.
So
He's,
he's Christian Bale.
Yeah, he's kind of took the approach of, I've been doing this for a long while. I'm going to try to get a team because obviously a one-man crusade hasn't worked how I've hoped. So he's kind of recruited a team. He's got like people you wouldn't expect, like Clayface, like Batwoman's come into it. A character called Orphan who's not been used very much, and Tim Drake's kind of like took the lead as Robin
Okay.
in it. And like Robin's trying to set up a system where basically like the police and the superheroes would work together.
Okay.
But then to take this into like the Doomsday Clock, something happens to Robin and he disappears, and it's like a weird point where it kind of lets characters like Clayface, who you've never really thought about, really shine.
Yeah.
Like you learn a lot about Clayface, like the person who he was, how he doesn't really want to be like this, the struggle trying to. Like one part I really liked is he said like he's scared he's going to lose himself in Clayface, and eventually Clayface, there won't he be Clayface, even though it is him, he will lose himself in it. But he's really related himself to the character of Orphan, who is she's kind of like a mute. She's been around the Batgirl books and around Barbara Gordon. She's not well known about, but it just works so well, and you get these like Batwoman and Batman like work off each other really well, which you wouldn't expect because of their character styles. Yeah, Clayface and Orphan and you got bat wings in it as well, and it's one of those books. It shouldn't work as well as it does, but no one's really talked about it because obviously all the hype has been on Doomsday Clock.
Yeah.
And there was like the next one to talk about is a 4-part story, and it's called The Button, and it was a Flash Batman crossover, and me and Shogun Pumba have talked about elements of this book privately.
Yeah.
So basically,
Not privately. Let's have it on Front Street. It was the lost recording.
It's kind of so private, that one now.
It's so private that no one else heard it. So yeah, private.
But it was so you at the start of Rebirth, like they're trying to say like the New 52.
So New 52 ended. For anyone that don't know, the New 52 was terrible. No, it was a series of books that did basically another reboot of the DC universe.
It was supposed to have crammed everything in the world into the past 5 years.
Yeah, so you
which
had
based
the whole Death in the Family, Court of Owls, all happened one after the other.
And the part that really bothered me, in 5 years you're telling me Batman went through 4 Robins.
Yeah.
It's like moments like that where you're like, how the flaming hell does that work?
Which one lasted more than a year?
Just about. But like,
a year and a quarter per.
this is my. I try not to do this much, but I've got my little dig about Grant Morrison every so often, because in my eyes he holds the mantle of not just getting the DC universe rebooted once, but twice in 5 years. He bugged up Batman so bad they had to reboot it. So then some price pumping, let's give him Superman.
Yeah.
In the space of 7 issues, Superman broke up with Lois Lane, quit the Daily Planet and become a blogger.
7-ish.
Why did this guy get hired?
People like Grant Morrison. It's a mystery to me, but he's got quite a following. But
Of what? Slackers?
well, everyone knows him for, and people will argue with me, he's kind of been coasting off writing Arkham Asylum for the best part of 30 years.
Yeah.
Which, when you reread it compared to other Batman stories, it's good. It's a good book, but to me, it's not in like the kind of classic Batman books. Like when I think The Dark Knight Returns, A Long Halloween Hush.
I think that Year One was quite good.
A lot. Denny
Killing
O'Neill,
Joke.
Neil Adams. Like, yeah, it's not really up there. So yeah, so after 5 years, they went, you know what, Grant's buggered up.
Yeah.
The New 52 so much, and everything happening in the past 5 years is not working. And I think DC finally went, know what we've got to do? We've got to start to introduce the Watchmen universe.
So that you can get away with wiping.
But this is like the crazy thing. Like, they done an episode called DC Rebirth Universe. And right at the end, there's a button in the wall, and you recognise it straight away.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, it's coming in like about 2 years. You're like, wait, hold on. So after
When you say a
about,
button, you mean a badge.
with a bit of blood over it.
Yeah, the badge button, whatever you want to call it, whatever. Yeah. You know what it is. It's that little round yellow fucker with a smiley face and a little blood dropping.
Which they can't put on the covers in Europe because someone owns the copyright in France.
So if you do want it in a cover,
you have to do what I done and get it from America.
Or you can ask D3G Comics to go and source you one.
Exactly. And we will. We're very good at that. But so, just to tie this over, they done The Button, which is Batman issue 21 and 22, and Flash issue 21 and 22. And it was like little
Is that a Rebirth, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
little 4-issue run. And yeah, so it come out, and you see Batman still trying to work out what's going on with The Button, and I'm going to do the hard thing and give you a unspoiled version.
Oh, that's going to be a bit tricky, no?
And
So it
I
starts
will
and then it
give out
ends.
one minor spoiler, but I'll keep the
Okay,
big
so
one.
if you don't want to hear any spoilers, jump forwards till 5 minutes and see where we are.
Yeah, about that. So, oh, pardon me. So Batman's like studying The Button and trying to figure out its origin, because there was a note appears, and he's been looking on and off. Flash wants to know about it, and they kind of like they kind of start to scratch the surface, and they know it's come from the past.
Right.
So without giving too much away, Flash, who caused Flashpoint,
Yep.
which is kind of the catalyst for the New 52. They try to trace the origin of this button because Reverse Flash appears and they're trying to find him. En route to that, the part that everyone kind of loves who read it, you see Thomas Wayne as Batman.
Yeah, yeah.
And where he was supposed to have ended at Flashpoint, you kind of get this little teaser of a bit more of him. And anyone who's read Flashpoint, you always want a bit more of like Thomas Wayne as Batman. So Bruce actually meets his dad,
Yeah.
which is just something you never thought would happen. And it's kind of a note right at the end, and this is kind of spoilerish. Like Bruce says, "I've always wondered what I'd say to you if I saw you, Dad. So many things." And the thing he says, like, kind of goes against Batman, but it's he turns around and says, "You're granddad," like letting him know, like, basically his family hasn't ended with him.
Yeah.
And it's Thomas Wayne's words to Bruce, which kind of end it and have you go. He's like, Bruce, he's like, "If I could say anything to you, give this up. Do not live this life." And it resonates right at the very end. You see like a really solemn Bruce with a sign in the sky.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, I'm trying not to give away too many spoilers. It's a really good read, and it sets you up right into Doomsday Clock. But there's it's basically a splash page at the back.
Yeah.
And anyone who's like me likes going back and reading comics, this splash page is kind of very, very, very important.
Right, so let's not spoil it much more. Welcome back for people that went forward. But how do we get that story up before we go into the Doomsday Clock story? So do we buy that, was it 21 and 22 of Flash and thing, or can we buy that as a one-off?
I honestly, if you're not too bothered about trying to find issues, get the graphic novel. It's the easiest.
Yeah.
If you want like the exact thing to set you off for Doomsday, they do a DC Rebirth Universe graphic novel,
Right.
which you can get like for us for 10 to 12 quid. It's not that much. The Flash and Batman the Button is about a £15 graphic novel, and that kind of gets you right up to date with what they're going to do with Doomsday Clock.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the last one. I'm kind of cheating because everyone was talking about it, but
Yeah.
You-
But
you
I mean,
wanna-
people might not have, as I said, we've got listeners that like comics, a bit like me, that might not
Yeah.
have been into the storyline so far. So this is for you guys out there. And I would like to say now that I'd want a copy of the Button as a group.
yeah, no, it's a hard one to find, but we can find it.
Exactly, that's why we got you here, my friend. So yeah, I'd like that, because I've got a massive Marvel fan, not really a DC fan at all, apart from Batman.
Yeah,
Batman's like, and it's not for Batman, it's for Batman's bad guys usually.
yeah,
But knowing a little bit around the storyline, it sounds awesome, and I'm a massive Watchmen fan. I mean, as everyone was, like,
yeah.
even before the film, like back in the day, I got that. I got the old big thick yellow fucking trade paperback.
Oh yes. And that is like, as I say, as a comic book reader, like for me, like when you read Watchmen, that is like the maker and breaker of graphic because it is so wordy. It's Alan Moore being
Yeah, it's
Alan
very
Moore.
wordy, but I'm like, it's not your average.
It
comic,
challenges
is it?
you,
Yeah, well,
which
yeah.
a lot of comics don't do. Like you sit there afterwards and you go,
Yeah, I do like that, and as I said, I'm a fan of that, a fan of the Bat. So get me that one. That'll be next on my list as well. Out of DC.
roll out the scroll again.
If I could add in a sound effect of a sound rolling out there.
I think it'd just be a thud. The amount of things people ask me for, it'd be like, "Can you get this?"
But yeah, guys, get yourself over to at D3G on Twitter, D3G Comics on
Yeah.
Twitter, and at DDBComicsguy. You can ask Dan directly. He's willing just to
Yeah, if you
have
just
questions.
you just want to know a bit more, or you want to be like, Dan, what was the big spoiler?
Yeah, just DM him so he doesn't have to spoil it for everyone else, and
Yeah.
then he might, if he likes you, tell you what was going on. Right, so what's next up on the list of last year?
Well, we was going to chat about Doomsday Clock itself, wasn't we?
Was we?
The one issue, yes.
The one issue of Doomsday Clock that's out already. Is that the one that ends with Rorschach, or is that the number 2?
No, that is starting with you see Rorschach Shock Horror has reappeared in Doomsday Clock.
Right. So what I'm going to do now is play you the other advert we have for D3G Comics, and then we'll come back with a little bit of Doomsday, a little bit of what's coming up this year, and maybe some comic book film news, and maybe something new that you might know about already or you might not, that's coming up from DDB Presents. So, enjoy.
Cool.
Thanks, going Wilson.
And we're back in the room. So, a little bit about Doomsday Clock, where we left off. This is basically what's happening, what's coming up, what's to look out for in the future in the world of comics.
Right, Doomsday Clock, which literally sneaked in at the very end of 2017, like that, about a week or two before. They had, it kind of pulls you straight back into the world of Watchmen, and a couple of years after the last issue ended. And you kind of see, like, Dr. Manhattan's plan didn't quite go exactly how he worked out.
So giant squids are not the answer.
Apparently not so.
Damn. I've been living my life alone.
Especially when you can't be bothered to commit your time to it properly and you bugger off. So Dr. Manhattan's no longer overseeing his giant squid operation.
Right. Okay. Fucking doctors.
I know, what a sod. So you're kind of seeing what's happening in the Watchmen universe. But you kind of see a familiar face, which, if you read Watchmen, you're not really expecting to see. And you can say his name better than me.
Rorschach.
Yes.
Rorschach. I've done enough of the tests that I know how to say the name.
Yeah.
And having dyspraxia, that word is like the ultimate cluster bollock to me. So you kind of see him and you're like, wait a sec. I remember the end of Watchmen. What's he doing back? And you kind of like, he's on his own little mission. He's trying to do something.
Like he always was, basically. Through the Watchmen, he's basically on his own.
And the answer of how he's back does get revealed in the comics, but yeah. I won't. Yeah, the explanation is wonderfully simple. That's all I'll say. And
it's not done a whole Dallas thing, is it? It was all a dream.
No, I'll tell you off mic, and you'll be like, oh,
that makes sense. So, anyway, yeah, carry on.
So we
He was on a break.
Not even supposed to be here today.
Yeah, he's basically like become Dante out of Clerks. So,
I can imagine that shot running very differently.
Just like completely doing like the Kevin Smith version of like Doomsday Clock now. With Dante and Randall go back to
send
6DC.
it to Kevin Smith, he probably will. So
that's like the abridged like parallel universe version of Doomsday Clock. But in the real world version, like you kind of see like so you're kind of seeing that it didn't quite go as planned. Dr. Manhattan's left. Rorschach is on his own little. I tried. He's on his own little mission, and you see another character from Watchmen who then starts to explain, and I'm not going to use his words, how this is all going to slowly start being linked into the main DC universe.
Okay.
And the last panel or two kind of brings you into DC, and you read it, and then you're like, God damn it, I want issue 2.
And that's come out recently. And when's issue 2?
Issue 2's dropped. I think issue 3 is next week.
Oh, exciting times, people. So as soon as you're hearing this, probably I'm going to release it the end of this week. So,
Yeah, it'll still be next week.
Yeah, so cut a few days' time. Less than 7 days' time, possibly, for the 3rd issue. So get yourself out and get them all. Contact our man here and he'll get you what you need.
Yep.
As we were saying earlier, something popped up on my Twitter feed that I then shared with you. If anyone's following us, you would have seen it. Image Comics, The Ice Cream Man.
Yes.
Yes. Now, this is a 9-part separate story. Fuck bubble. So it's in its own universe, its own time, and the only think Black Mirror, but the only thing that links all of the stories, all of the 9 issues, is the appearance of the Ice Cream Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
And issue 1's just come out, or is just coming out? No, just come out.
Yeah.
And I was really interested, just by reading that little blurb, it was like, ooh, I really want to go and have a look at this, because it's like, really like Black Mirror, I really like fucking Scary Door, or Twilight Zone as we know it in this universe.
Yeah, not the Futurama universe.
But, you know, I like that them sort of one-off stories that there's a whole series and something's weird, something's fucked up in all of them, but it's just that one shot. One comic is one shot, and the only thing that's going to link them is the Ice Cream Man. I don't know if it's ever going to come round to why the Ice Cream Man's in all of them.
I assume the usual Image thing is if it goes well enough, which a lot of theirs do, because as we've said, like Image's thing is they put a lot of faith in the writer.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I reckon it'll do its 9-issue run. They'll have a little think, and they'll think, do you end it on a high, or do you think you can catch lightning in a bottle twice?
Which is what we're doing today.
Well, it's got a psychological hook.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it could easily be rubbish.
Yeah.
But there is potential there for that to become quite an interesting sort of series.
I think what I'm going to actually do is contact either the writer or someone on Twitter and tell them how interested I am in the series, and if it's possible that we could have just issue 1 as a tester.
Yeah.
And then we can all read it, even if we have to send it back, it doesn't matter. And then we can all come up and we'll do another comic book special.
Yeah.
Where we'll talk about the Ice Cream Man, and if it's one to go with, then it's one to go with.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah. So what else is coming up this year that we really need to look out for?
What, books wise for 2018, or just well, if you want to go back slightly to 2015, you do, because there was a book called Hulk versus Thanos,
right,
which would quite help with Avengers Infinity War.
Okay, so this would give you a lot of more of the story of what's about to happen in the Marvel MCU. Yeah,
introduce you to characters that will be coming up. I am strongly led to believe in Avengers Infinity War and beyond.
Okay, so like basically what you're saying is it's about time that the MCU got their arse in gear and got some more of the unknown characters.
Basically,
it's supposed to be a universe.
Yeah, basically when you introduce something like Guardians and Thanos,
yeah, well done.
Yeah, we learned this before. Like you're gonna have like a big universe full of lots of characters, and it's great seeing everything on Earth.
Yeah,
but characters like, I know this is gonna sound silly to say, but like characters like Pip the Troll, who appears in Hulk versus Thanos, and you got Annihilus, and you kind of understand, like, when you see the Guardians, that's just a tiny peek
of the
into the U part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, yeah, it's an older book, but I think if, like, after all this talk of comics, especially if you want to know more about the MCU, it's worth going back and picking up books like that and Thanos Rising, and just to give you a bit more scope on what's a bit more scope on what's to come.
Okay, so that being said, going into the MCU itself, here at DDB Presents, we've got something new and exciting that you might know about if you followed us on Twitter, but I don't think it's set up as a Twitter page or anything yet.
Not yet. I am working with the Good and the Logan to try to get this done. So,
and there's a little hint, and here's another little hint. Listen to this advert, and you'll hear exciting news on the DDB Presents front. Enjoy.
Oh, hello. I'm the Great from the Good, the Great, and the Logan X. We're soon to be a podcast on DDB Presents. The only problem is, as per normal, I'm the only one who's turned up, and the only one who actually knows what we're talking about. I'm mainly the comics guy. You'll know me as DDBComicsguy, and we're a Smurf Rider and the Logan X. So join us on DDB Presents, the Good, the Great, and Logan X.
Okay, so yeah, as you may have worked out from obviously that advert and some mentions on Twitter and everything else, DDBComicsguy here is going to start his own podcast under DDB Presents. Dan.
Yes, we're going to start DDB Presents. The Good, who is a Smurf Rider. The Great, who is obviously DDBComicsguy. And someone who's punctually late as per normal, Logan X.
and you can make of the good, the great, and the Logan X what you want. Okay, but I'm just Logan X.
I think they've done that by Who's Turned Up Early.
Well, then Smurf Rider shouldn't even be in the fucking title, should he?
Fucking didn't even turn up.
He's that small, you just can't hear him.
Yeah.
He's still trying to get off his bike.
Right. So, so tell us a bit. Like, obviously, we was leading in with Infinity War. So, what's the idea of your podcast, guys? Why are you under the DDB Presents banner?
Well, basically, we like films, like a lot of people do, and we all have our own opinions. And me and Dan and Scott, so the DDBComicsguy, and Smurf Rider and myself, Logan X, we regularly have conversations slagging off films that we've seen, so on and so forth.
And some we haven't.
And some we haven't seen that we just don't want to see, and we're just like, oh my God. And we just thought it would be fun to do a podcast relating to all different films. We didn't really know where to start. And Dan come up with a ridiculous idea.
Yeah, I come up with a wonderful suggestion in theory. I went, let's start with the Marvel films. There's only 44 from Blade to when Infinity War Part 2 comes out.
Okay.
So I started writing them down, which seemed like a really great idea. And then you start to see Daredevil and Hulk.
Yes, Bubba.
Death of the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, see, we're not going far. I mean,
We had to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, Dolph Lundgren's Punisher. I just thought, fuck it, we'll start a Blade. Let's move a
but
bit further on.
Hulk. I mean, Jesus.
But
You never know. We might select some of the older Marvel ones, and if you want us to torture ourselves on the special, trying to listen to Howard the Duck.
I think
Howard the motherfucking Duck, man.
I think it's an interesting way to do it, because instead of starting with new films and trying to put yourselves across as almost like film critics as such, you watch the old films and then people can base their opinion on you as sort of talking about these films based on the films that they've probably everyone's already seen and either loved or hated. And they can say, actually, I like these guys, their opinions are quite similar to mine, I like listening to them. And then eventually, if we do well and people like what we're doing, we will do the specials with newer films, so on and so forth, and we'll go into other areas. I mean, one of the conversations was trying to do the old action hero ones at some point, so doing Schwarzenegger, Stallone and Van Damme, and going through their back catalogue.
Seagal, man. You missed that Seagal from that list. I mean,
it was just an example, you know what I mean? We could do things like that.
The 5 craziest Nicolas Cage films.
That would be a hard list to compress.
I mean, but seriously, some of us have put ourselves through quite a bit recently. Dan, it actually took him 4 days to watch Daredevil. I can see that. he had to just keep turning it off and moving on to the next day before he could watch the next scene.
The 18-year-old Dan's version of
recovery.
Yeah, the 18-year-old version of Dan's Daredevil to the 32-year-old has changed quite a bit.
Yeah. It's but I think we've got this will be one of the worst weeks, is what we're coming up.
You don't even know the worst one.
Let's get off of what's coming up. Because obviously people that are interested, they don't want to be put off by your selection of films.
Yeah, so basically
there'll be a good one and a bad one in every episode.
There'll be I mean, you got to look back over the last.
I've just got it. There'll be a good one, a great one, and a Logan X one in every episode without fail.
But we just, I think it's like, if you enjoy us, the way we talk and the banter and some of the actual funny facts and figures that have come along with these films, and if you're into your films and your movie going, then you'll probably quite enjoy us. It's good. It'll be a good laugh.
When you say if you're into your films, I mean, how deep down the rabbit hole are you going? Are you going into like directors' histories, or are you just doing what the film is itself?
Eventually, we're going to go so deep down the rabbit's hole that we're going to end up coming up through another hole.
Okay, cool. So if you want extremely large penetration about films,
yeah,
go listen to the good. The DDB presents the good, the great, and the Logan X.
Yeah.
Hopefully, recording next week, be out in the future.
Yeah, we should be recording it. Is it next week?
It's going to be next week or the week after.
So within the next 3 weeks, we'll have the first one out there, and people will be able to listen to it. And then we look at doing it. There'll be one every fortnight from there, which gives us essentially 8 weeks at a time to watch between 6 and 8 films to go on.
More importantly, recovery time from certain films and elation from other films.
Yeah, so I mean, as you can imagine, if you take the last 27 years, 28 years as a whole for Marvel films, there are some real bad ones. 20 odd years, last couple of decades, there are some real bad films that they did make at the beginning before they got to.
But there's been some absolutely wonderful ones. I will go on and on about Avengers all day.
MCU, does that include obviously the Sony branches?
Oh yes,
yeah, all of it. It's all any Marvel film, like for instance, where we're starting with Blade 1 or just Blade. It's that was completely separate from anything that exists now. Do you know what I mean? It was.
And also,
is the Infinity War going to pull one out of the bag and get Wesley Snipes involved?
Do you know what?
No, he said that he would be up for it.
I was actually.
He
just got out of fucking Nick, didn't he?
I was about to say, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I think the only way this is the sort of thing that we go into with it. I mean, and you turn around and say, like, in my opinion, like, because obviously when we were talking about it, that has actually come up between me and the Smurf Rider, and I turned around and said, I think the only way that it'd happen is if he played Whistler. Not actually Blade in a future one, which could work.
Being a comic book guy, and this is the kind of thing that drives me nuts. I like Whistler. He's not in the comics.
Yeah.
Like, to be fair to the MCU, like they've actually picked up comics instead of just looked at the cover and went, "That's a good idea. I like the idea of this."
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, if you want to listen to them, that'll be out very shortly. And again, it's DDB presents. The Good, the Great, and the Logan X, I believe, Podbean.
It will be on Podbean first and foremost.
So Podbean, it'll come under our banner on the old iTunes. We'll get it on our YouTube channel as well.
We're going to try and put it out to as many as we can.
Yeah,
obviously.
basically, you just got to get the hosting service. Once you've got that, I can put it on all of our existing
and
things.
And it'll be out there, yeah.
They'll have their own email address, they'll have their own Twitter handle and stuff like that they can all...
You can give us as much abuse as you want on our Twitter handles.
And you can also obviously contact us to contact them so we can abuse them on our show. And then obviously we'll have special shows where we'll all cross over, we'll all watch one film, maybe a new film that come out, and we'll all come around this table and we'll have them lot and us lot and everybody else.
That's the great thing about it. Obviously, if we're talking about films, like yourself found out, like I always wanted to talk about films, but a lot of the time where I was going to see the films all the time, sometimes other people hadn't seen them, but then you could go and see a film which... I mean, I could take it that you're definitely going to see Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
I mean, you could turn around and say, we need to talk about this film right now in an angry voice, or we need to talk about this film, it was amazing, in a really happy voice.
Probably all the voices will be angry, and then we'll see what happens after
There'll be a bit of arousal.
Because everybody enjoys the D.
Hell yeah. Everyone loves a bit of DP.
Yeah.
So, I think that's going to wrap it up for this week.
Hey, how long did that take you?
Took a turn.
Okay, so the title of this episode will be Enter DDB Comics Guy Take 2. So, I've been with...
DDB's Comic Guy?
Yeah, or DDB Comics Guy at DDB Comics Guy on Twitter. He's new to the whole thing.
Yeah,
and D3G.
D3G. We've done so many adverts for D3G.
I just discovered Twitter existed 3 weeks ago. It's all new.
And obviously, with me from the beginning was...
Fantastic, Mr. C.
And showing up late as always.
The Renegade Logan X, of course.
Well, that actually applies to both of you normally, but I had to go and get one out of their pit. And I've been at Shogun Pumba. Please follow the show at Them Drunk Blokes, Twitter, iTunes... Facebook, YouTube,
freaking forgotten about
fucking Twitch.
Playing it out of a car, following you along.
Yeah,
MySpace was still relevant.
If MySpace was still relevant, we'd have one of them and all.
In your back garden in the DDB mobile.
If you really want, they can put it on a cassette and just do it old school.
Right, quick shout out to Cat Tulip of the Pocket Mimic, who's invited us down in the DDB mobile to crash in her garden to terrorise her boyfriend.
Woohoo!
That might be happening as well.
Yes, that is so happening.
Damn right.
Time
He's
to
not
get the
gonna
ski
walk for-
masks.
he's not gonna be able to like see straight for weeks.
So yes, last but not least, we are going to be on Spotify. Please check us out there too. We're going to have more D&D content coming out very shortly. That's down to Luke and editing. But for this week, we have been us. Goodbye.
See ya.
See you later.